Today we're here to relaunch Jack's Notes. For people out there that don't know who we're referring to Jack Craven, a great guy up here that we've known for a while now, and basically discuss films that never were or the history of certain films, unmade projects, and just go on a deep dive into this world of classic movies and the history of certain films, and like I said, unproduced projects, films that never were. So bringing this back with Studio Red Band here, Matt Thomas. And again, before we get into all this, a big thanks to Jack Craven. Shout out to you. I know you've been waiting for this.
Yeah, man, super, super, super big shout out to Jack Craven. Yeah, thank you for helping us out along the way and helping us to understand a lot of these things, because it's very complicated when you start peeling that onion. And like you said, it's like a world, right? It's it really is like a world, because once you get into all these notes in linear, you're totally transported to another place. So yes, thank you very, very, very much.
And you described it well, like we're just peeling back the layers, and there's so much information out there that we've been trying to figure out how can we attack this, because Jack has sent us. I mean, over the last, for you a little bit longer, but I'm looking at what, 3 years that
3 years, yeah.
we've been in contact with Jack Craven, and he's been very nice, sharing with us information and interesting stuff. And lately been trying to figure out how can we attack some of this information. So we finally have a start here, and today talking about the history of First Blood, which this should be interesting. So what are we looking at, Matt?
Um,
For people out there that are listening.
yeah, yeah. There's just like hundreds of these emails to go through. And what's fascinating about the First Blood is, um, it goes through the years, not just through those Rambo years, but for us, it goes through the last 3 years. Like each stage is a different year, and it's so. If we do things where we like repeat some things, it's just because they were collected, and revisited and improved on from like 3 years of research. But wow, there's like, this is just one of those things where you see it and you're just like, oh my god, like like how come nobody has ever talked about this? Like, how come no one, how come this doesn't, how come it's not everywhere already? And it's fascinating to put your mind in certain people's shoes, and certain actors and producers and directors, and literally, it's fascinating just to see what could have been, what was, what we'll never see, what was done that we'll never see. You're gonna learn a lot of things, even stuff from that 3-hour director's cut, that lost 3-hour director's cut. You're gonna see some things from that too. So
Was that
it's
the
pretty.
one? Was that the? Because the story is with that, for people who may not know, with that with First Blood, that there was a longer cut of the film that Stallone watched, and he's like, and then he burned or something. What's the story there?
Well, he said he wanted to buy it back and burn it, but when I saw Ted Kotcheff, he was telling us that he wouldn't have been able to buy the negative back. He was a big star, but he wasn't that big a star where he could just buy the negative back, because that's millions. It's a way bigger price tag than I think what he was getting paid for. and maybe what he had at that time. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on that, but yeah, that was the rumor that he said that he wanted to buy it back and burn it.
And how long was that cut?
3 hours about, and I know we're gonna I'm pretty sure we're gonna discuss some things from that, because I remember we did this one already with Isaiah. Well, not this one that we're talking about right now, but the next one we did that with Isaiah, and that came up. I remember that coming up because all three of us were cross-referencing from everything, right? So I remember that coming up before. It's fascinating, I gotta tell you that. It's absolutely fascinating. I got the chance to actually take a look at it, not the 3 hour cut of the movie, but the basis for it, and absolutely phenomenal. Everything from a Rambo origin story that no one ever got to see. And I asked Ted Kotz if he filmed it, and he said unfortunately they didn't film it. But it's weird because you go and watch Rambo 5, and if you pay attention in Rambo 5, you'll see it. You'll see it on the wall, you'll see it here, you'll see it there. You know, little pictures from that origin story.
And, I mean, for folks out there, and basically, you know, what we have in front of us here is a breakdown of script history from First Blood that goes back, how many years? Like to 1975 at least, right?
I would say before that, because I think David said, I can't remember if he told me this or if I heard this on the projection booth.
Referring to David Morrell?
Yeah. He actually told me a lot of really interesting things about that go really deep. But for the main part, I mean, like, transition of story, but I think it was, he said something like 4 months, or they were talking with someone 4 months before the book came out or something like that, or 6 months, and then 4 to 6 months after. I don't know if I'm quoting that right, but if people go check out the projection booth episode, Flooding with Love for Rambo Son, or Flooding with Love for First Blood Son, it's in there. The exact quote is in there. I'm pretty sure it's on that one. But yeah, like, it turned out the first guy didn't have any money to get it done, and then so I want to say I know the book goes back to maybe 70 or 71. The book came out in 72, so I would say within 1972 they already started working on the movie. Yeah,
it's interesting, and we'll definitely get more into that here because, you know, in front of us here is a lot of notes from Jack Craven, and this is going to be interesting to dissect and go through and sort of read out the information to you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy this listen.
Yeah, and I hope it solves a lot of mysteries for people who maybe had thoughts about a lot of these things, because I know Jack definitely, I can say without a doubt, 100%, Jack Craven changed my life by the things he showed me that had to go through this. You know, many questions I've had for years and years and years, like going back to childhood. And it was cool to see finally be at rest. You know, finally say, okay, I can finally hang up my First Blood search. There's nothing more. There's nowhere else to go now, you know? So, yeah, I really thank him, because, like, that's a lifesaver, man. And he pulled that splinter right out of my brain. So, thank you, Jack. You know, bottom of my heart, man.
And so we're going to get to the notes.
All right.
And, yeah, so this is going to be interesting. And I guess who wants to start off? Or
yeah. All right. I'll read everything as it's presented, just so it's easier for you guys to follow. And just keep in mind that, you know, this is over a 3-year period. So when we break it down, if if it sounds like we're going back, it's just to add on to things that were mentioned in the past. So it says, I believe this one was sent to you. This was when we did the first Rambo night we did with Jack. So I guess I'm reading off your email. Is thanks for letting me know and good luck with that. And I also have one update for you. I sent this to Matt because I know he has a huge Rambo First Blood fan. But since I did mention this script in my First Blood script history report, is sent to you guys last year in October. So this is kind of like when we started getting back into the notes, he was talking about the beginning from when we went back. So he says, I'm sending you this updated info about David Rave's script to you as well. I just recently discovered this, me, myself, and my man. So does it sound like a script worth of tracking down? Yes, it does. I always heard that it was very violent, but I don't know that by the ending, Rambo would turn the entire town into New Miley Massacre. Sorry, this is really small for me to read on my TV, so I'm just trying to get it nice here.
Okay. And David Rabe, to interject there, because I had to look up this guy, and so he's an American playwright, screenwriter, and he Tony Award for Best Play. Just kind of mentioned a couple of things that he did back in the day, like Sticks and Bones, and I guess he wrote the screenplays for Casualties of War and The Firm. So for people, if we mention Rabe, it's David Rabe. But you were saying? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just making it bigger.
Okay.
Yeah. So if people do find it a little bit hard to follow, don't worry, because by the end of it, it will all make sense. It will all make sense. Okay. So it says So he just adds that we can add this to the 1975 part in our First Blood script history about Rave's script, which we'll get to because we're going to go from 72 to 82 and then all the way back. So we're doing the long road tonight.
It's a long road. And it's hard as hell.
We're starting at First Blood and ending at the end of Rambo 4.
Yeah. I had to throw it in there. Here we go.
Okay, so yeah, the following info. Sorry, it's from Chapter 7 of the 1999 Susan Faludi's book, Stifed: The Betrayal of American Man. Well, I'm going to make this full screen. It didn't really help, but there we go. Okay, so Al Pacino was the one who brought Rabe in to write the script, and he also told him how to write Rambo. So to Al Pacino, it was like Jaws was out, and Pacino described to me that this guy should be like the shark, a mindless, driven, single-minded thing that is not available to any plea once it got loose. Actually, it appealed to me. It seemed apt in the sense that if the guy is going to embody the war, then that's what war is. So he goes on to say that, and here's what Rabe said about the script and working on it. The author of the book also managed to read Rabe's script, and she included descriptions of several scenes, including opening and ending. By author, it doesn't mean David Morrell. He means the lady who wrote from the quote I just read before. So it came down, it says here that, including the opening and ending, when they came to me to do the script, I thought, well, this could be a great opportunity to do almost an action version of Sticks and Stones. In Sticks and Bones, the guy comes home and goes through phases before he realizes that the only way they're going to understand is to become participants and get a first-hand taste of it. So what he's really doing is attempting to rub their faces in the gore of it and say, isn't this fun? Like, are we having a good time? Of course, in that, he miscalculates and he fails to understand that they are far more dangerous than he is. In Rabe's version of First Blood, Rambo makes the same fatal error. He returns to an American. He returns to an America that celebrates and denies its own violence. In the opening scene of Rabe's script, Rambo is depicted as hiking past a drive-in. Crudely painted on its wall, Rabe's description states, are huge figures of Wayne and Eastwood mowing him down and Hell's Angels brawling. Rambo pauses before a home appliance shop, and as Rabe describes it, in the window, Broad Crawford is shooting someone on one of the TV sets. So Bob Stack is machine gunning someone on the other side. Rambo crosses a street, dodging a Jeep with a dead deer across the hood and a couple of hunters toting rifles, and comes up against a gun and tackle shop. Its windows overflowing with rifles, shotguns, pistols, and revolvers. Before this bounty stand, two men greedily eyeing the merchandise with children in their arms. So it's pretty intense here. And now, as in the novel, Rambo tangles with the police chief Teasel. Rest in peace this week to Brian Dennehy.
Yes.
Who escorts him twice to the edge of town and warns him never to return. But Rabe's Rambo represents a grisly, kind of repressed knowledge about America, gained in a war that he intends to bring home and force the town's fathers to lose. They're going to see me, kind of. He says, in the fires, in the children, in the crying, they're going to see me. He's insanity itself. A primitive bearing... sorry about that.
Are you good?
Got lost there. A primitive bearing snakes and covered cave walls with violent stick drawings. In my script, Rabe said, the pattern of betrayal and its incredible force launches Rambo into this death vector. Death, not death, but death vector. And once it goes far enough, that's where you go, nobody brings you back. But the town's fathers don't want to receive Rambo's message. And in their refusal, they are, like the domestic father in Sticks and Stones, stronger and more dangerous.
Huh.
That's pretty neat.
And that's what, to interject real quick, so is that with the Al Pacino, is that how maybe it could have been, like, sort of the direction there?
Yeah, I think he goes into more of it below, and I'm pretty sure he comes back in the third part to add more. But that would be that's very interesting with that whole angle, right? Like that whole Al Pacino and everything.
What do you think, for people who may ask, how do you think Al Pacino, around this time, he probably was working on Scarface, but how do you think he would have done as that role?
If they would have played it like they played Sly and not Al Pacino, how he doesn't talk, I think that could have been an intense Al Pacino, because Al Pacino has that weird thing of he's scary without him having to say anything.
That's true.
He's intense. He could just look at you and you feel that.
Or you can go really intense, like, Devil's Advocate.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of man.
Or what was that bank rob, Dog Day Afternoon, was like, they come! They come! Oh, man. Yeah, just Scarface alone. Like, he's terrifying.
Definitely.
Uh, which is cool because if you do like kind of like the comparison, when Pacino blows up, it's instant. It's like when he's talking to Manny in the car and Manny's talking about his sister, and he chokes out his cigar and he like does that snap from friend
Yeah,
to don't dare, like really quick. Stallone's more like a slow burn that you can
exactly.
see it coming. Like when you see, you might have to wait an hour, but when Sly finally snaps, it's gonna be bad.
Like Al Pacino, I think about it more and more. He's like a Jack in the Box. You just keep winding him and winding him, and he's gonna pop out, and that's how he is.
Ooh.
But that's a perfect, yeah, it's a good analogy there for a great actor. But
Yeah.
back on the
Yeah.
notes, yeah, let's talk about.
Okay.
Are you good?
It's cool because we're gonna see a lot of those. We're gonna get to see, what was it, 26 scripts, right? So I think we're gonna get to see a lot of that. So okay. So it says Rambo thinks he's stalking Teasel and his posse. He's like, I've been looking for you, Teasel. He says, don't you know I've been looking for you? But Rabe's Teasel is not interested in developing spiritual connection with Rambo, which is something I've been talking about forever. And I actually got to ask David Morrell about that. And he says it's true. Not what he's saying here, but the spiritual connection, which I guess we can go into that later. But it says, it goes on to say that in here he was thinking that he's into repression. Like he waxes deputies like dogs. He wants to see Rambo and the consciousness he signifies crushed for good. Teasel is both the private, blinded father and the eager for the body count military father. Type of father. For this reason, Rabe had no need for Troutman and was considering reducing him to a minor character or scrapping him altogether. Imagine that if they would have cut out Troutman.
Yeah, that would have definitely. You wonder if they how the ending would have been, right? Because didn't I haven't read the First Blood novel, but Troutman kills Rambo, right? Is that right?
Yeah, he shoots him in the back of the head with a shotgun.
So they didn't want
And
to.
Rambo goes off to Rambo. In Rambo's thoughts, he goes off to maybe he'll meet God after all, and there's a spiritual element to it. But the spiritual element also goes back. At one point in the book, Teasel and Rambo share a quantum entanglement when they're very pushed to death's door. Like both of them are pushed to the limit of they can't go on any further. And that's only halfway through the book. So like David drags you through hell. Like I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like he drags you through that hell of, man, how's it gonna go? It's back and forth. Rambo Teasel, Rambo Teasel, Rambo Teasel. What's gonna happen? Because there's no way he can go further, but he keeps dragging you along, and the stakes keep growing and building and building and building, and it's like this big Jenga smorgasbord. It's amazing.
Man.
Yeah, and it's weird that structure too is Dennehy, Stallone, and Crenna, and it's like that's their movie. It's like that trifecta works for that movie so well, and argumentably, it works so good that in the other two movies, Crenna is just as much of a concern as Rambo is.
Yeah,
When you watch them,
that's a good
and
point.
I'm just sad that we never got to see them do more stuff together.
Or have Troutman come back only just in a flashback for Rambo 4.
Yeah,
But
which is weird because Sly wrote another character for Rambo 4 that was half Troutman, half Murdocky, and half Bob Grigsby, kind of
Who's
wrapped
that?
up in one character. His name was Baumgartner, and he didn't make it to the movie, but a lot of other people got his lines, like Arthur Marsh got some of his lines, and Graham McTavish got some of his lines. And this guy, actually, this kind of fits in here because it was like Stallone's little nod to the Rambo origin story, where Rambo takes him upriver, he kills the pirates, he comes back, and then these police come after him, military police, and he's like, oh shit, he thinks they caught me for what I did, even though he destroyed all the evidence. Ironic that he threw that knife in the fire, which I don't think he threw the knife in the fire because I saw the knife on his desk in one of his videos. But another guy who worked on the film, who had the only other custom knife, lost it in a fire around the time. Yeah, and Sly's wife was talking about, like, maybe I can get Sly to give you the knife, which it looks like he never did. Yeah, so the police come and they take Rambo, and Rambo is like, whatever, fuck it, fuck the world, I don't care if I go to jail. So Rambo goes with them, thinking that either he's gonna go to jail or get expedited back to the States. And then there's this guy waiting for them, and this guy Baumgartner, he's like a mix of all these different characters, and he's like, you're gonna help me do this thing. And Rambo's like, I'm not helping you do nothing. And he goes to leave, and the guy turns around and grabs him. And it's very much like how, when they're trying to fingerprint Rambo, and he's like trying to wipe the ink off his hands, and fucking Teasel grabs him by the hand.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. And he's like, don't think I don't know all about you, White Death. And then Rambo turns around and it's like, excuse me? And then Rambo starts getting on the edge. And he's like, yeah, I know all about you. And he goes into talking about, how he was called the White Death by the Vietnamese because he would just come in and kill everything. So it goes in, and then that character comes back. Then later on, because in the movie they have the 50 caliber scene. That actually supposed to take place in the middle of the movie. And it's at night during the storm, and Rambo blows the shit out of the whole fucking compound with the truck, escapes with the truck, drives it into the ground, literally, like the truck's on fire. He's still driving it around. And then, so in the end, Rambo's just running around with the knife, cutting people's heads off as he runs past. And he's in that big fight with everybody. And then that guy shows up with the army. And then at the end, there's a piece with Sarah and Sly, which is very much like the Koh-Bow, which they talk about when they're on the boat together, but they don't do it in the movie, but they talk about it with the charm necklace, and then he has the pearl, the cobra, and that's a whole spiritual thing on its own axis, because that's all spirituality, and he gives it to her, kind of like how he gave Hamid the necklace in Rambo 3.
Yeah.
So it ties Hamid in there also. It's very romantic when they first start talking about it, because it's kind of like, when he's like, oh, I'm expendable, and he's like, what's that around her neck and all that. And it's Morrell actually goes further into with the book. He talks about the significance of that luck and everything, but Rambo says that, oh, this is the pearl of the cobra. This is it has special powers, and it keeps you immortal. It keeps you winning wars, and as long as you have it, your crops will grow. You'll never, it's right off of the luck charm. So he's also like, the snake has to give it to you. If you kill the snake, it holds no power. So Rambo's still like going back to the Buddhism and a lot of other stuff. So to answer that whole thing, Baumgartner shows up at the end, and him and Rambo, Schoolboy, and Baumgartner go off together to start a new thing. And it's very it's very strange because after that, the next thing Sly writes is the Expendables. So I'm positive, in a way, maybe Sly was thinking by having the mercenaries in there and then doing maybe launching off on that, not maybe not like a Force of Freedom type of thing, but I'm pretty sure that's where the Expendables came from.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Pretty good.
sorry to get off on that tangent. All right, so where were we?
Talking about Rabe's treatment.
Yeah.
The blood of this is right here. The blood for Rambo's killings.
Okay, so the blood for Rambo's killings is on Teasel's hands too. He says, "You wanted me to do everything I did." Rambo sneers at Teasel, and when Teasel snuggles back, says, "I saw you on the street. I wanted your guts in my hands." Rambo replies calmly, "I know that. I guess. Wait. So this. I know that. That's what you are, Teasel. The both of us. Only I'm better than you." And by better, he means he makes it bitterly clear that he means only that he beat the fathers at their own game by laying claim to a higher body count. We counted the bodies, man. We killed them and counted them. It made us the best there never was. All right. So Rambo proceeds to demonstrate this principle on the bodies of the townspeople. He stops everyone he meets on the street and demands their name. And when they say it, he kills them. Yeah, this is definitely going back to the Al Pacino because this comes around later on again. So it says, this goes on throughout the night as Rambo slaughters without cease and finally sets fire to the town. In the morning, Rambo marches unarmed through the ruins of Teasel's office door. Want to report the count, sir? He tells Teasel. The bodies. I want you to know how he did. 87, Bobby. Wait, what is it? Bobby, Billy. That's what we got. Helen, Jane. At which point Teasel shoots him. Rambo jerks back and grunts, yes, sir. Again, Teasel shoots him. And again, Rambo grunts, yes, sir. And again, yes, sir. And the final image freezes the script's final shot.
That sounds like something like a Pacino thing, like, Teasel takes his shots at Rambo and he's, shoot, again, Kind of reminds me of that scene in, I know I mentioned this, but Devil's Advocate, where Keanu shoots Pacino and he's like, shoots him like 2-3 times. He's like, yeah, come on, give it to me. And he's like, shoots him like 2 or 3 more times, but he can't kill him because, he's Satan.
But, yeah, or like in Scarface when he's like getting shot and he's just mocking them.
Yeah.
He's like, you can tell he's like burning on the inside, but he's just mocking them. He's like, I take your fucking bullet.
This sounds like, Pacino type of performance here. But
it's very tense too because it's very psychological, almost like because like I know in the book they try to do that thing where they try to make them one at one point, and this kind of feels like making them one, but doing it on a psychological level and not having to take into account any kind of spiritual thing.
So basically, according to this information, that Rambo was bragging about killing townspeople.
Yeah.
Is that what this is? And then like he was trying to brag it off to Teasel. So it makes it seem like, here that Rambo is a straight up antagonist. Like more like The Hunted with Tommy Lee Jones,
It makes you almost wonder if he did that through hate just to make him kill him.
Yeah.
Just to make him take that shot because he just walks right in there, right? So that's very fascinating. It's very
You wonder too, like if he just walks into the police station, did the other deputies see Rambo? Why didn't they take a shot? Why right when he walked in and he's killing townspeople? Or why didn't they? If Rambo was out in the town, was there any deputies out there? We're looking for him, or
yeah.
I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe I'm looking at it too much, or
Well, it's definitely one that you can look at from all angles because like there's other things they do too, like when Troutman and Rambo at the end, instead of Troutman and Rambo coming out and he brings them back and he arrests them. Rambo, there's one where Rambo comes out and fucking gets blown to shreds, and there's another one where Troutman comes out with him and takes on the army.
yeah.
There's some crazy. You're gonna hear some crazy things today, but crazy in the best way.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay, so Rabe's First Blood. Okay. Rabe's First Blood was a return to Mile on domestic soil, or Malay. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Myalai on domestic soil, and Rambo was Lieutenant Cali come home to roost, while Teasel was Captain Medina, the gangster father who eggs his son on to murder, but takes no responsibility for the consequences. He walks away scot-free, but as it turned out, the entertainment industry didn't want to see any more than did fictional Teasel or Ozzy in Sticks and Bones. Hollywood was constructing films to bury Miley, not to revisit it, to make American men feel better, not worse. That's true because a lot of men who came back from the war, right? They were very disenchanted by a lot of the war movies.
Yeah.
I think this movie actually changed that for veterans, for a lot of veterans. Okay, so Ray was still working on the script when he got the phone call instructing him to send the filmmakers what he had written so far. Ray assembled the incomplete script, appended a few pages outlining the ending he envisioned, and popped it in the mail. He returned to his typewriter, but before he had even finished his first draft, he got the second phone call telling him not to bother. They would no longer be requiring his services. They didn't really give a reason, Rabe said. They just said it wouldn't work, which was true enough. From studio's perspective, Hollywood, after all, was working to hammer shut the door on what Vietnam might actually reveal about American manhood. When I read that, I think of John Rain's two last movies, Finding Purpose and The Road to Redemption, because it shows that like not every guy who came back from the war was Rambo,
Exactly.
And that kind of resonated with a lot of what this film did for veterans. It showed them that there wasn't just death at the end of the tunnel, that you could actually come back.
And it
yeah.
And it launched really, because First Blood, came out before Terminator and all these big action films, and it kind of launched in the way the one-man army type.
Yeah.
And that sort of Vietnam one-man type of hero.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting, it's like a very interesting film. I've seen it so many times that it's my favorite movie of all time, but I've seen it so many times that a lot of times I'll come back and I'll just be like, whoa. Like I forgot about the gravity of watching it the first time. When I saw it the first time, it just scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I never saw Stallone before, and I was scared of him because he's so like fucking scary in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it shows you what like the horror of war,
Exactly.
Yeah, like that haunting.
Continuing with the history of First Blood, and this is where we're going to go into, I guess, the different versions, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, it varies between 18 and 26, as Jack says. I've heard David Morrell quoted at 26. He also told me he thought it was around 26. But I guess we're gonna weave through. We're gonna weave through them.
All right.
All right. So it says, here's a full version
Wait.
of the script info. Oh, yeah, it's from the second email from the
Part 2?
yeah.
Okay.
It's just that first little paragraph there.
Okay.
It says, anyway, John, here's the full version of the First Blood script info I just put together with a couple of new extra bits for you. Feel free to share any thoughts about this. First Blood script history. There are various reports about how many different scripts were written for the film between 1972 and when the movie was finally made in 1981. Some say 18, but then some other people like David Morrell himself mentioned how there were 26 different versions of it. Based on info that's available, here's the short list of all the ones we know of so far. So it starts here in 1972 to 1973. So after the rights for the novel were bought in 1972 by First Studio, who was involved with it, Richard Brooks, director and screenwriter. I think he's the Sounders guy, I think.
So who's this guy, Richard Brooks? Let me look this guy up real quick.
I think he's the Sounders guy. I'm not sure.
Maybe I should have that ready. Yeah, it says right here, American screenwriter, film, director, novelist, nominated for 8 Oscars. 8 Oscars. Best known for Blackboard Jungle, and Cold Blood. Looking for Mr. Goodbar. So he's done a lot of, mostly known for stuff he did in the 60s. Independent producer, so. But I think he passed away some time back. Yeah, 92. So, but what were you saying? Get back to that.
Yeah. Richard Brooks, director and screenwriter, spends an entire year on the project, researching and writing, but never finishes 115 pages long script, which was going to have more focus on Teasle and would end with unarmed Rambo being killed. The script also included a character who wasn't in the original novel. This is really cool. This is something I've also tried to look into it a little bit after hearing it from Jack. Was a female psychiatrist who deals with Rambo was included here, but because Brooks wasn't happy with the script and didn't want to make the film when the studio wanted to, it was canceled. There was another guy they said that was he didn't have the money for it, or he went bankrupt or something. It might not have been him, but I think he was also attached right before the movie, right before they decided to make it a movie, or right after. I'm not sure. It might be the same guy. Brooks worked on the project for months and did a lot of research, like exploring locations in Kentucky where the story would have taken place, and the type of people Rambo would meet there, just like in the novel. Like I said, it's been mentioned how this script would have end up with an unarmed Rambo being killed, but according to the book Tough as Nails, The Life of Films of Richard Brooks, that was just one of the endings he had in mind for his version of the script and the film. The ending which he originally came up with was completely different, even from the novel, and you wouldn't believe what it was. But interesting side note here. So I started working on a project where it was looking at all the supernatural elements of Rambo, and apparently out there where this takes place, it's a supernatural hotbed. Like a severe, rumored supernatural hotbed of activity down there. And
where's this at?
If you look up in Kentucky, near Somerset. and there's so much like X-Files type of stuff going on down there. And it's weird because when you look at Bowie, Arizona, where in the movie where he's from in part 2, they talk about it. That place is also one of the biggest supernatural hotspots on Earth.
Huh.
Yeah. And it's weird because you look at all the different versions they wrote, and both Stallone's versions and Morrell's versions, there's supernatural elements to the character in each one. But when they make the movies, they never talk about it. The only time they mentioned it was with Coe, and they kind of touch on it a little bit with Rambo 3, but not as much as Morrell does or Stallone does in their drafts of it.
Okay.
It's very, very weird. Very weird. Yeah. I was actually reading a book last night called David and Goliath. I forget the author's name. He was on Joe Rogan. And man, reading that first hour of it, I can see how deep Sly will go with his characters. Like when they get to like Lawrence of Arabia and Underdogs and all that, they talk about like the David and Goliath structure throughout history of everything from basketball, sports to everything. And the whole time I was reading it, I was like, holy fuck, that's Rambo 3. Anyway. Okay. All right, so the next part, it says, during the story of the script, the townspeople of Hope, National Guard, and everybody else involved would get separated into two sides. One which would side with Teasel and the other which would side with Rambo. And eventually, at the very last scene after everything that happened, Teasel and Rambo are in a standoff situation, and Teasel tries to talk to Rambo when somebody opens fire and both sides go into all-out battle between each other. And Rambo and Teasel went up in a ditch together while bullets are ricocheting around them. And then Teasel would look at Rambo and say, none of this would have happened if only we talked to one another. And that's how the movie would end. Now, you can imagine the version of the story with that ending, how ballsy it would be to end a film like that. It does remind me a lot of those other movies from the late 60s and early 70s with bleak downbit and ambiguous endings. Yeah.
How do you think that would have been like, let's say, just spitballing, if they would have went with that direction, where one side would go with Teasel and the other townspeople, you have, these people over here sign the Rambo, and there's this sort of war in the climax between sides.
That could have been interesting. That could have been really interesting. That could have been like, imagine if they...
The Warriors or something.
Yeah. I was about to
Rambo
say,
would be like, can you dig it? He'd be like, I don't know. I don't know why I thought of that. I know it's a gang movie, but...
But that would have been cool. That would have been really cool. And in Kentucky, too, that would have been a cool, like, backdrop,
Yeah.
That would have been pretty neat.
Kind of like Next of Kin, where you have, like, mobsters and, like, the hillbillies. Or something like that.
Or like that, Dead Bang?
Yeah, Dead Bang. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cops versus white supremacists.
Yeah.
Don Johnson. Yeah.
Don Johnson, I was reading about him last night. About his over-the-top thing. Fascinating. He was going to play Link if they couldn't get Stallone.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah. I can see it.
That would have been...
Maybe we would have got that super violent version of Over the Top.
Yeah. Which was more darker. For people that don't know that was going to be more darker of a film. More But
Yeah, if people go out, actually, people can just go on Audiobooks for the Damned and check it out over there, and you can hear, I would say, a lot of that R rating. The book is rated R, the movie is rated B. Yeah. Because they really go into it. Okay, so it says, sometime later, probably next, in 1973, Walter Newman, screenwriter who wrote the scripts for The Magnificent Seven, 1960, and The Great Escape, 63, but was not credited in both cases, writes 3 drafts of the script for First Blood. His drafts were apparently very close to the original novel, and they ended both with Rambo and Teasel dying. Director Martin Ritt was going to direct the movie based on Newman's script. Clint Eastwood and De Niro were both considered to play Rambo, but again, the project was canceled.
And Martin Ritt, real quick. Okay, this is the guy that directed. Just mentioned a couple of films. Yeah. Come on, give me something to look at. I wish it just Wikipedia just. Okay, Cross Creek, never heard of. HUD, Norma Ray. So there's a couple for you. Stanley and Iris, he directed that, but just a Martin Ritt, because I was wondering about that name. Never heard of it before.
Mm-hmm.
And that was at this time when they were considering Eastwood and De Niro. Okay.
Yeah. That could have been cool. Like, imagine De Niro, like, playing, I could buy it, because Deer Hunter was fucking amazing.
I've never seen Deer Hunter.
Oh, my God. So one night, I guess it was around 23, 22 or something like that. There's nothing on TV. I'm watching TV. I turn on this French station. And the movie Deer Hunter is playing in French. And it's right at that scene where you go into Vietnam for the first time. And it's such a powerful scene. And I was watching it in French. And I watched the rest of the movie in French. And I was totally blown away with it. But I didn't know the name of the movie. So I looked around for that movie for a while. And then when I found out what it was, I bought it right away. There's some intense is an understatement. There's some scenes that are just upright horrifying. Like upright, like rate horrifying, like to the point where you're watching, you're like, whoa, that's hard to watch.
I bet.
Yeah. So I could totally see him do it. I could totally see Robert De Niro do it.
More like a tamed De Niro.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's one point where they totally break him. And it's one of the best De Niro performances of all time. They're making him play Russian roulette, and they're both click like nothing's happening to the bullet and everything. And then it goes one way with one of his friends, and then it's going another way with his other friend. And they do something to even out the odds. And then De Niro knows, like, if he puts that gun to his head, there's a pretty good way he's not gonna make it. So he puts the gun to his head, and the guys are like forcing him, like yelling at them and screaming at them to make them play, and they're smacking him across the face like super hard every single time. And De Niro's like, you see that his eyes are starting to water up, and he's losing it. And he's like, the guy smacks him in the face. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna fucking die!" He's like, "Oh man, it's amazing. You gotta see that movie. You gotta see it. It's a little long, but damn.
I'll give it a watch.
Damn. Anyway, 1974. in late '74, director Sidney Pollack was planning on making a movie. This is also the one version in which Steve McQueen was involved. It's worth of mentioning that despite what some online lists and information sites mention, McQueen was never involved in the project prior to this year. Here are a few pages of the third revised draft by Walter Newman from February 20, 1974. It looks like he went back to work on the project after it was canceled the year before. I don't.
Losing you a little bit.
By the way, I don't know where this. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. You're good now.
Okay. So it says this one was from 1974, and it looks like he went back to work on the project after it was canceled the year before. It says, by the way, I don't know where did the guy who was selling this heard that McQueen was considered for the role of Teasel, but it's not true. Also, that it's possible that the reason why number 4 is on the cover of the script near the title is because this would technically be the 4th version of the script that Newman wrote. Those drafts in '73 plus this revised draft.
And we have a link right here, which we'll put in the box.
Yeah, that's a long link. It's on Mauvais Genre. That's how you say it in French, so I guess it's a French site.
Yeah, it's a movie script website that I'll put, like I said, I'll put it in the box for people to check out. So
I think that means worst versions. I think. Anyway, says I'm also sending you these 4 sample pages so you can read them for yourselves. As you'll see, that's probably the thumbnails from the auction site. As you'll see, the script included openings showing Teasel in his office and Rambo trying to hitchhike a ride, only for some truck driver to give him the finger, and different version of the scene where he talks to Troutman over the radio. Too bad there aren't any more pages. I think my favorite bit about this is the dialogue Troutman has on the 3rd page. It still sucks that whoever bought the script will probably never know how valuable of a piece of movie history he has and won't share it around. Other than Eastwood, De Niro, and McQueen, Paul Newman was also apparently involved to play Rambo based on the script. I don't know why some of these guys were involved, to tell you the truth, since just like in a novel, Rambo was always meant to be a much younger character than those actors were. Personally, I think Eastwood and McQueen would have been better choices for Teasel. I agree with that. I can see that 100%.
And then Kirk Douglas, right? I mean, but he was close to playing that, which a lot of people know about that.
Yeah. I was watching him in Apocalypse Now a couple of weeks ago, and wow, amazing.
Rest in peace, Kirk Douglas.
Yeah, wow. It's like one of those things where it's like you can see it in the other ones. You can see it like in Charlie. You can see the bit in there. That's another one like where you wonder what his career would have been like if he took things more seriously. Like where he could have went. But I don't know. I think Charlie Sheen's done now. I think that's over.
Yeah. I don't know if he's winning nowadays.
No. Those Tiger people are going to come back for their Tiger blood.
Yeah.
The Tiger King people. They'd be like, you know who sold Charlie Sheen all that damn Tiger blood?
The Tiger King.
It was Carol Baskin. That's what's going to happen.
I still haven't seen that documentary.
Oh, you don't want to, trust me. Oh, it's funny how these things become so famous.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Damn, and all of them are going on other people's shows and saying it's not true. Oh my god.
Oh
Damn.
man.
Shit. Okay. So in 1975, David writes in his script for the film and plans. Okay, this is kind of where we went back from before talking, but there's some minor differences here. But we're gonna read through it again just to kind of so you can kind of put everything into perspective for yourselves, and at the same time, maybe we'll find some more things in here. So David Ray writes his script for the film, and his plan was for Al Pacino to play Rambo, but he quit the project. Reports mentioned that it was because he wanted the character to be more of a psycho. Directors who were interested in the film, just based on this script, included Martin Riff once again, Ray Stark and Mike Nichols, and it's been mentioned that Mike Nichols wanted Dustin Hoffman for Rambo, but he rejected it because it was too violent.
And yet, that same year, he probably did Tootsie. Which I like Tootsie. It's not a dig on Tootsie, but still.
I heard he did a Lenny Bruce movie. I gotta see that. Hoffman. Yeah, that would have been interesting because Hoffman can play very distant, like Rain Man.
Rain Man, Rambo.
Yeah. Rainbow.
Rainbow. Rainbow. Sean J.
Oh man, yeah, that movie is so amazing because it's so believable, and you're like watching him, and you're like, he can really go take himself out of his body, and he can really channel. He's a great method actor, I think.
Yeah, and Hoffman's a great actor.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, they wanted Dustin Hoffman for him, but he rejected it because it was too violent. Did he do Straw Dogs? That was pretty intense, no?
I think Straw Dogs. Let's see.
Stallone even said that Rambo 4 was based a little bit on Straw Dogs, and what he meant by that.
Straw Dogs came out in 1971.
Yeah, what he meant by that was his version for Homefront, I believe. And then when Homefront came out, it kind of had that feel. But in those original pieces for that, like the Rambo Homefront, it was very interesting because we got to see a different type of Rambo.
And Rambo Homefront, for people that don't know, what is that like? Another version of Rambo 4?
Yeah, it was one of the earlier versions of Rambo. Not the earlier, like I think it's there's a lot of them. Jack was talking about Gale Force. There was a version of Gale Force that was Rambo 4 called John Rambo Returns. And before that, there was the Rambo Enviro, which he talked about when Rocky V was coming out. He said he's going to do, he got very heated with Phil Donahue. Phil Donahue came at him, and Sly fucking didn't mess around. He was saying, I feel like, Exxon getting the, all this stuff, right? All this, Rambo environmental. Then there was, other versions of that, like Robert Rodriguez, fucking Holy War. There's just a whole bunch of them. And Homefront was up there, I guess, a little further on down the line.
And which kind of turned into Jason Statham's a vehicle for Jason Statham.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that one, too, is that's a character. That's a character who... Fuck, how many? 13? I want to say 13? Somewhere between 11 and 13. There was 11 to 13 different broker series books. So Jason Statham can come back for, many more movies if they wanted to.
Yeah, I think Homefront did that well to spawn a franchise.
Yeah.
But that was like the Homefront. I mean, I know we're kind of getting away from the notes, but Homefront was kind of like an idea for Rambo 4.
Yeah, and it was cool to see how Rambo reacted.
Or the plot.
Yeah, the plot was pretty much the same, except it had Rambo and his daughter, and there was some inside jokes like, he goes to the school to pick her up, and she's like, I did what you told me to. I counted 3 times. The guy kept pushing. I hate him. And then later on, when Rambo gets into the altercation with one of the parents, and it gets a little physical, he gets in the car and he's like, didn't you learn anything from this, to the kid? And the kid looks over at him right in the face, and she goes, yeah, I should have hit him twice.
I know.
Like stuff like that. And then at the end, when all these guys are attacking the house, and Rambo, Rambo sets the escape plan into action, and he actually has 3 Rambo knives that he pulls out. They don't mention if they're the 3 from the first 3 movies, but it says that he has 3 knives in it, 3 survival knives. And he starts taking people out.
That's interesting.
So it's kind of like Straw Dogs.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that Stallone's version of that would have been a lot bloodier and a lot darker than the movie they made for Homefront.
Which Stallone wrote. I forgot about that. I forget that sometimes. He didn't direct the film. I don't know who directed the film, but Stallone wrote Homefront.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then later on, oh man, for Rambo 5, there's a version of Sean Hood's script, which Sean Hood put on the internet. He put the treatment. And in that treatment, it feels like a mix of the Gale Force Rambo mixed with the Homefront Rambo for Rambo 5. And it feels a little bit like Nowhere to Run. And at the same time...
What, Van Damme?
Yeah. And at the same time, it doesn't say super soldier. But there's like this super assassin who is like Rambo's evil version of Rambo. But he's like this assassin. And then, which is kind of funny because they don't say hunter. But you kind of get that feeling of when Sly was talking about like that primitive force that he wanted to bring into Hunter, and how he wanted to go back to primordial man. And at some points they were talking super soldiers, and at sometimes it's like, well, Rambo was kind of like the original super soldier, so he, it was like the final, like the last blood, like the final, test of that metal, to test something that's new and improved and younger, kind of like Soldier, like that Soldier thing that we were talking about.
Or Kurt Russell.
Yeah, kind of like that too. It felt like, yeah, that's one way. I wish I had more on that one.
But anyways.
Yeah, so that would have been cool. That would have been cool to see, because they have a fight scene that takes place at one part, and they fight all the way to on the other side of the town. And something also that was tapped for The Specialist. There was one episode of The Specialist where they did that, where The Specialist had to take on an enemy across the country.
That was an idea?
Well, yeah, people also know that The Specialist was based on one of, I think, 11 or 10 or 11 novels, like drugstore novels,
Huh. Didn't know that.
Yeah. That one's really good, too. They switched the names of a lot of the people. I'm trying to remember what book it was called, like Against the Mafia or something like that. Yeah. It's a much different beast than the books. I bought a couple of the books, though, to review, so. Yeah, anyway.
Oh, good. Yeah, we're getting away.
So, nice segment like that.
Talking about Dustin Hoffman rejected it because it was too violent. There's like one more sentence with this. It says, found this to be kind of funny because both Pacino and Hoffman were acting rivals in those years.
Yeah.
I did not know they were rivals.
Yeah, me either. I thought they were kind of like equals. Imagine if they were together in that movie.
And this is kind of what Matt was saying before. We're kind of getting into some stuff here which we've talked about already. So however Matt wants to tackle this, which there might be a little bit more information here than what we discussed. We're going to kind of dissect and kind of maybe add some new points. So however Matt wants to lead the way here, because there's some repeated information here.
I'll try to just like roll through it quick. But there's a bunch of stuff after it. So we're not even halfway yet. So here we go. Okay, so this is the one version of the script which I would have loved to find out more about, specifically after hearing how it was so extremely violent that Hoffman refused to be involved with it. Must have been something really effective, since Ray was actual Vietnam veteran. I didn't know that. So no one wondered why they hired him to write a script. I did read recently in one other book how Pacino told him how to make his version of Rambo be like a shark who wouldn't stop for nothing once he gets loose, and that Ray was combined Teasel and Chauvin into one character, which sounds like it would have been an interesting character to see, which is a little different from the last time we talked about it. It goes on to say here that the following info was from Chapter 7 of the 99 Susan Filoni's book, Stifled, The Betrayal of American Man.
Yeah, and I'm keeping my eye out, too, for like maybe something we didn't see before.
Yeah. So, to retort, not to retort, but I was trying to do a Samuel L. Jackson thing. But to go back, it says here that Al Pacino was the one who brought Rabin to write the script. He also told him how to write Rambo. Jaws was out, and Pacino described to me that the guy should be like a shark, a mindless, driven, single-minded thing that is not available to any plea once it got loose. Actually, it appealed to me. It seemed apt, in the sense that the guy is going to embody the war. Then that's what war is. And
it's interesting, kind of thought there, because, again, how we mentioned earlier, how Pacino, how he would have, you wonder what he would have done with that, especially at this time doing Scarface, and what he brought to that performance, and, that intensity, and, like you think he's down, but he comes back for more.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's always, he's just that force.
Relentless. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. Okay, here's what Rabe said about his script I'm working on. And the author of the book also managed to read Rabe's script, and she included descriptions of several scenes, including opening and ending. When they came to me to do the script, I thought, well, this could be a great opportunity to do almost an action version of Sticks and Bones. In Sticks and Bones, the guy comes home and goes through phases before he realizes that the only way that they're going to understand is to become participants and get a first-hand taste of it.
Okay.
So what he's really doing is an attempt to rub out their faces in the gore of it, and say, isn't this fun? Aren't we having a good time? Of course, in that he miscalculates and fails to understand that they are far more dangerous than he is. Kind of reminds me of Dolph Lundgren in Universal Soldier a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, like isn't the scene where he's in the grocery store or something?
Yeah. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Or when he's like, "Are we having fun yet?" Or like when he's smashing like Van Damme's head against the car door, and he's like, "When I say jump, you say how high." He's like,
Oh man.
Oh man. Now where are we gonna shoot her? Okay, so in Rabe's version of First Blood, Rambo makes the same fatal error. He returns to America that celebrates and denies its own violence. In the opening scene of Rabe, draft Rambo depicted hiking past a drive-in, crudely painted on its wall. Rape demonstrates, directions state are huge figures of Wayne and Eastwood mowing him down, and Hell's Angels brawling. Hell's Angels, like the biker. I'm wondering if that's reference to the bikers or a movie. But Rambo pauses before a home appliance shop, and as Raven describes it, in a window, Rod Crawford is shooting someone on. Sorry, it's really small here. One of the TV sets. Bob Sack is machine gunning someone on the other side, on the other TV. Sorry. Rambo crosses the street, dodging a Jeep with a dead deer across the hood, and a couple of hunters toting rifles, and comes up against a gun and tackle shop. Its windows overflowing with rifles, shotguns, pistols, and revolvers. Before this bounty stand two men grimly eyeing the merchandise with children in their arms. Which is weird because it's back to kind of like those, we think of this now, but like the world's a lot more modern now, but in those days, a lot more was like off the land living.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's kind of like, wow. That's something you would probably see more of, you would think. But anyway, as a double, Rambo tangles with police chief Teasel, who escorts him twice to the edge of town and warns him never to return, but raves Rambo represents a grisly, repressed knowledge about America gained in a war that he intends to bring home and force the town's fathers to face. They are going to see me, he says, in the fires, in the children crying. They are going to see me, he insists to himself. A primitive, bearing snakes and covering cave walls with violent stick drawings. In my script, Rave said, the pattern of betrayal and its incredible force launches Rambo into his death vector, and once it goes far enough, that's where you go, okay, nobody brings you back. But the town's fathers don't want to receive his message, and in their refusal, they are like the domestic father instincts and bones, stronger and more dangerous. What's not weird, but what's cool here that they touch on when they were still kind of harnessing that one part of First Blood that's like, where Rambo's always fighting himself.
Yeah.
Like, he's so destroyed over what happened to him that he's so cast away that, he can't back. And nobody cares. Everybody was so fed up with Vietnam, and at the same time, he just wants one person to love him, and he can't. It's just not happening. I know when David Morrell, like, spoilers if we do a Rambo 2, First Blood Part 2, but David Morrell goes into that where Rambo comes home and his fiance, the only girl he's been with, has moved on, had kids, and they call him like a baby killer, and they kick him out of town. And that's when he tries to go back to Warren, and he ends up going to look for Barry.
Yeah.
And it actually talks why Rambo can't be with a woman. Like, that he's seen people do so many horrible things to women that he can't get close to them. And he's seen everyone he's ever loved or had a bond with, he has had to see them brutally massacred. So it's it's weird. It's like he's it's almost like he's non-sexual in a way.
Yeah.
He is truly the lone man. Yeah.
Never thought of that, though.
Yeah, it gets pretty crazy. And actually, there's one point in one of these scripts here, and maybe they're going to talk about it in here, but I noticed it from that one script, is that It's even the one they talked about on the projection booth, but Rambo tries to go back. Rambo tries to go back to war, and they won't take him. Like he comes home, and then he goes looking for Chowman, and they're like, no. That's why, in the movie when he says, I went looking for you at Bragg, but no one knew where to find you. Like, there's a whole, 2-page outline after that where he just goes into talking about how he tried to go back and so he puts everyone in that room on the spot, So now Teasel, now Troutman doesn't have the upper hand, but at the same time it puts Teasel in a extra sensitive situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty good scene because that's the one scene where you can say, okay, you know what? Apart from Troutman at the end saying, there's only one guy in here who might have a chance if he comes in here. It just ups the ante on everything. And also the cave paintings here and everything too, because that's another one of those big things where Rambo was a cave explorer.
Oh.
Yeah, when he was a child. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
Definitely. Are you good?
So it says here, Rambo thinks he's stalking Teasel and his posse. I've been looking for you, Teasel. He says, don't you know I've been looking for you? But Rabe's Teasel is not interested in developing a spiritual connection with Rambo. He's into repression. He whacks his deputies around like dogs. He wants to see Rambo and the consciousness he signifies crushed for good. Teasel is both the private, blinded father and the eager for the body count military father. For this reason, Rabe had no need for Troutman and was considering reducing him to a minor character or scrapping him altogether. And the blood for Rambo's killings is on Teasel's hands too. You wanted me to do everything I did. Rambo sneers at Teasel. When Teasel sneers back, I saw you on the street. I wanted your guts in my hands. Rambo replies calmly, I know that. That's what we are. Teasel. And the both of us, that's what we are, Teasel. The both of us, only I'm better than you. By better, he makes it bitterly clear that he means only that he beat the fathers at their own game by laying claim to a higher body count. We counted the bodies, man. We killed them and we counted them. It made us the best there ever was. That's kind of weird too, because a lot of those guys had to send their sons off to war.
Yeah.
And they came back we did what you wanted us to do, and now we're now they're kind of haunted by that. But it's also weird too because a lot of those fathers were war veterans themselves, I'm presuming, right? From the last wars. Yeah, it's delicate when you think about it. So Rambo proceeds to demonstrate his principle on the bodies of the townspeople. He stops everyone he meets on the street and demands their name. When they say it, he kills them. This goes on throughout the night. As Rambo slaughters without cease and finally sets fire to the town in the morning, Rambo marches unarmed through the ruins to Teasel's office door. I want to report the count, sir, he tells Teasel. The bodies, I want you to know how we did. 87. Bobby, Billy. That's what we got. Helen and Jane. At which point Teasel shoots him. Rambo jerks back and grunts, yes, sir. Again, Teasel shoots him, and Rambo grunts, yes, sir. And again, yes, sir. The image freezes, and it's the script's final shot.
And this is the last part,
Yeah, and this was the last add-on for that, was that Rabe's first blood was returned to Melee on domestic soil, and Rambo was Lieutenant Callie come home to roost, while Teasel was Captain Medina, the gangster father who eggs his son on to murder. But there was no responsibility for the consequences. He walks away scot-free, but as it turned out, the entertainment industry didn't want to see any more than they did. They didn't want to see any more than fictional Teasel or how does he pronounce? Wait, hold on a second. Didn't want to see, in quotation, any more than did fictional Teasel or Ozzy in Sticks and Bones. Hollywood was constructing films to bury Miley, not to revisit it. To American men, feel better, not worse. Ray was still working on the script when he got a phone call instructing him to send the filmmakers what he had written so far, and Ray assembled the incomplete script, appended a few pages outlining the ending he envisioned, and popped it in the mail. He returned to his typewriter, but before he had even finished the first draft, he got a second call telling him not to bother. They would no longer be requiring his services. They didn't really give him a reason, Rave said. They just said it wouldn't work, which was true enough from the studio's perspective. Hollywood, after all, was like working to hammer shut the door on Vietnam, on what Vietnam might actually reveal about American manhood.
Yeah, so like I said, some of the information we discussed earlier, and I guess,
yeah,
we just kind of, I guess, because these years are kind of, I guess to kind of recap on that, I don't know. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot new there, but I think the way he has it set up with notes here.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're on to talking about 1976.
All right, this is a quick one. Ted Kotcheff gets involved in the project for the first time, and he works on it for 3 months, including doing some work on the script. But this also goes nowhere, and he leaves as well. 1977, William Sackheim and Michael Kozel write their infamous script in which John Travolta was to play Rambo. This script is amazing, and which was to be directed by John Badham. The same year, Travolta and Badham made Saturday Night Fever, which turned into a huge hit. So it explains why studios wanted both of them to work together again. There were also casting plans for George C. Scott to play Troutman and Gene Hackman or Charles Dunning to play Teasel. What's cool here is also that Stallone and Travolta go on to make that other movie, that sequel to Saturday Night Fever.
Oh, Staying Alive.
Yeah, and that in the James Cameron version of Rambo 2, John Travolta is the sidekick to Rambo, which is a really amazing buddy movie. It would have been like a Rambo buddy movie, and that was pretty cool. Kind of like a Tango and Cash. I don't want to go that far, but I'll say it's kind of like yeah, I could say that in a way, like a Rambo, Tango and Cash. And it's just weird because Travolta at this time was involved to play Rambo.
Yeah, and Gene Hackman would have been interesting as Teasel.
Hmm.
I wonder what he would have brought. Probably coming off of Superman 2.
You know what could have been an interesting thing too is imagine if either or got that role first, and they did the Rambo suicide ending, and then did like what they did with the books where they cross the paradoxes and come back and recast Rambo. So imagine if it was like, Travolta, and then Travolta gets killed off, and then when they remake it with Stallone, or they continue it with Stallone, do Rambo 2 and 3, or the other way around. Kill Sly off in the first one, and then Travolta comes back to play Rambo in 2 and 3.
I don't know about that. I'd be like, what? You can't fool me. Might want to call Doc Brown on that one.
Yeah.
Fix the time line. But anyway.
That's when you read too much into this.
But now we're getting into the years between 77 and 80.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Here we go. So during these years, Kozel and the Sackheim script goes through some changes, and this also involves some casting changes or planned possibilities. Like Chris Christopherson playing Rambo, since he was a U.S. Ranger and helicopter pilot back when he was in the Army, which made him a very good choice for the role. And Lee Marvin, World War II veteran with quite a few medals, was suggested for Troutman. Another rumor also mentioned that the studio suggested Sam Peckinpah as director for the film around the same time, mostly because he and Christopherson were good friends and worked together before and made some well-received or successful films. But considering Peckinpah's health, that was never going to happen. Too bad, because this is the one what-if version of First Blood I would absolutely love to see. And Sly's been quoted many times as saying that's what he wanted to do with Rambo 4. He wanted that Peckinpah feel. One director that the studio really wanted, however, was John Frankenheimer, which is why that revised August 80 draft of Crowell's Sackhoff script, which talked about when we first met, has his name on the cover. Frankenheimer directed films like the Manchurian Candidate 1972, French Connection 2 in 75, Dead Bang in 89, and Ronin in 98.
Yeah, we talked about Dead Bang, yeah. I wonder what John Frankenheimer would have brought.
Yeah, that could have been interesting. That could have been really interesting. Ronin, too, though. Ronin's another great movie. Other actors who were going to play Rambo based on this script include Powers Booth.
Powers Booth, wow.
Yeah. Nick Nolte and Michael Douglas. But one who was cast was Brad Davis. And his intense role in Midnight Express 1978 helped him to get the role of Rambo. However, production and studio problems prevented this version from getting made. I think I saw that movie. I'm pretty sure I saw that one. That's the one where the guy tries to, like, snuggle the drugs out of some country and he gets thrown in prison. Was it that movie? Where he's so disconnected from mankind that his wife comes to see him and he just wants to, like, I don't know if I could say that on this show, but
I've never seen Midnight Express.
Okay, well, I'll save that for you to discover.
Yeah.
It's a Ted Sutton moment for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Studio problems prevented this version from getting made. So it says, note, I watched the making of For the First Blood again, and in it, Ted Koch says how in the original Coastal Sackheim script, Rambo killed about 18 people, but in this 1980 draft, he only kills 6, I think. And it's very obvious when reading this draft how it was changed. It also says here, also in the late 1970s, John Milius was offered the job of writing or rewriting the script, but he turned down the job. This was around the time Apocalypse Now in 1978 was released, for which he wrote the original script. It's possible that somebody thought that since he did such a great job writing dark story dealing with Vietnam War, that he would be the right guy to write the script for First Blood. I can see that. You know, maybe that's where they contacted Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 1980 to 81. As we know, Coastal Sackheim's script is sent to Stallone, who at first gets involved in the project as an actor, then as a writer. Then he quits, realizing through how much different. Sorry.
Are you
this is really simple. Then he quits after realizing through how much different scripts, actors, and directors the project went through. He comes back to do more work on the script before once again getting involved to star in it. It says, personally, I think Stallone's earlier drafts had at least a few more parts that were closer to the novel. Like, for example, check this out, something I found on movie prop selling site, early draft of Stallone's script for First Blood. If you check out the pages, you'll notice that it has some side notes by Stallone or somebody else, and additional scene between Teasel and his wife, which was not in the draft, he did with David Giler.
And there's the link right here.
Yeah, and I think it's this one, also showed up just, I want to say, within the last few months. It went to re-auction, I think, within the last few months. And there was more stuff on it, I believe. Yeah, and it has the link for the site here, which I guess we can...
We'll put in the box.
But I'm pretty sure it was on another site too, which had maybe even more pages. I'm not sure. But I remember, I don't know if he goes into it here, or if he goes into it in the next part, or where I saw it, it dealt more with, Teasel's wife, but it had parts from the book which were like their fight and her leaving him and all that.
I need to read the book.
Yeah, and there's parts in the book where he calls her on the phone, and yeah. When I talk, well, I guess when I talk to her again, but I'm going to be interviewing Brenda Strain from First Blood. She was Teasel's secretary. So I'm going to ask her if they ever talked about, or she ever saw them talk about or film Teasel on the phone calling his wife.
I keep thinking there was maybe a scene, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't watched First Blood in a while. I have that same cup that, by the way.
Oh, the Solo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, it's a great cup. I have a collection of cups like that. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of them. All right, so and then like the tops of them, I take them apart. Like when I get the cup, I bring it home and I take it apart. My friend's got a bunch of them too. And he'll give me his tops that I don't have, and I'll give him my tops that he doesn't have. And I take off the tops, like the little action figure tops.
Yeah.
And I tie threads to them. I put them on my Christmas tree. Every Christmas, I got like tons of shit on there, like R2D2 and like amazing. I had an R2D2 star that candy popped out of it. It made sense. Anyway.
There you go. So,
well, Rambo was a Christmas movie, so okay. When Kirk Douglas was involved in the film as Troutman, he famously did rewrite the script in which Stallone said was not bad, but it wasn't the movie they wanted to make. And apparently, and according to Stallone's commentary for the film, Douglas's rewrite ended with Troutman killing Rambo and driving away with Rambo's body.
I'm losing Matt a little bit.
Can you want Douglas playing Rambo and Troutman based on Cole's Sackhound script?
I lost you for a second.
Okay, I'll go back.
Back to where it says apparently and according to Stallone's commentary.
Yeah, okay. So apparently, and according to Stallone's commentary for the film, Douglas rewrote. His rewrite ended with Troutman killing Rambo and driving away with Rambo's body on the hood of his car. By the way, can you imagine Kirk and Michael Douglas playing Troutman and Rambo based on Cole's Sackheim script? Now that would be something interesting.
Father and son.
And just I remember hearing somewhere where they at one point they were talking about doing that for Rambo 4, was mentioning that Rambo and Troutman would have been related. So that that could have been cool too, having Michael Douglas and Kirk Douglas. That could have worked too. And it's also cool because with Kirk Douglas, you go back and you watch him in Lonely and Are the Brave.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brent Whiteside. Yeah, Lonely Are the Brave. So
Huh.
All right. So it says that, during production, Stallone does some more work on the script, but since Caught felt it needed more work, two more screenwriters are hired to work on it, each at a different time: Larry Gross and David Giler. Okay, so it says, I sent both of you guys the stuff on Giler and stuff that Giler did on Stallone, so you can compare to yourself how close it is to the final film. Almost exactly the same, with a lot of stuff that was in the 210-minute cut. So that's even longer than 3 hours. That's
3 hours and
30? 3 hours and 40?
30.
No,
yeah.
Yeah, 3:30?
Yeah.
Wow. But when you go through that, that's a beast. That's a beast. That was the one that completely changed my life, because that one was like, I knew before I looked at the comparison. I knew that once I picked it up and looked at the comparison, that I knew after that everything I thought about First Blood from seeing it when I was 7 years old was going to change. And you know what? Everything fucking changed. So that was pretty interesting comparison, because so many more things make sense after that. So including the TV cut. The TV cut of First Blood makes a lot more sense after that. And stories that you hear. Anyway, so it says, I managed to find out one nice piece of info about Larry Gross's draft of the script for the final film. While Stallone and David Giler's revised drafts have Rambo surviving at the end, Gross disagreed with that decision because he wanted the story to be more of a tragedy. The rumor is that he was called by Ted Kotcheff to do some revisions on the script during production before or after Giler. Not sure which one was hired first. In his version of the ending, Rambo runs out of the police station and opens fire at the police, then gets shot to pieces in slow-mo. Fun fact, First Blood was filmed the same year when Walter Hill's Southern Comfort 1981 was filmed, which also has some Vietnam War elements. And Gross worked on the script for that film. A great film, too. I recommend checking it out if you didn't.
I've heard about the film.
All right. So we're going into the last two paragraphs here. All right. Stallone mentions on commentary for First Blood how he had some problems with one of the new writers who were brought in to help with the script, and how his rewrite included a lot of the stuff and dialogue he didn't like. Example, in the scene where he and Teasel first met, Teasel would ask Rambo, where does he think he's going? And Rambo would say something like, ever seen Easy Rider? Well, I'm Easy Walker.
Yeah. So Rambo's got a little...
Yeah, but it's weird because they switched that around at the ending. You know when he gets in the truck with Robert A? It's like, don't look at me, look at the road. That's how accidents happen. They switch around. Yeah, it's weird. That's why I like when he kicks him out of the truck and it's like, okay, Robert A, jump out. He's like, I got no beef with you. All right, man. So for some reason, though, in the final film, only Stallone, Kozel, and Sackheim are credited for writing the script. Normally, the writer needs to be contributed about 80% of his revised work to the script from previous writer in order to get the credit. So I'm guessing that whatever Giler and Gross had added or changed was not that big, and their work was just typical uncredited script doctoring. Giler, didn't he write Alien?
Let's see. Giler? What's his first name?
I forget. Let me look for it here.
David.
Yeah. I might be wrong. because I know there's they did I think for Alien Day this year they were going to do that the original script for Alien, the one that we never got to see, Space Beast or Star Beast or something. Or
he wrote screenplays for Southern Comfort, The Money Pit with Tom Hanks, Aliens. No, he wrote the story for Aliens, screenplay for Alien 3, and the screenplay for
That's right. That's right, because they did the audiobook of the David Giler script, the Alien 3 David Giler, no?
I don't know. I'm not sure on that.
The one with Michael Biehn and damn.
Oh, Lance Henriksen.
Yeah. I must be thinking about the other guy. Whoever wrote the first draft of Aliens, I think. Or not Aliens, but Alien. He was his version of Alien is coming out in comic book form. I think it was called Star Beast or Space Beast or something like.
So what are we looking at?
All right. We have these. Last time we talked a little bit about these script pages that were on auction site from the Prop Gallery, and I believe they're the only ones of their kind where they kind of go into the. They kind of go into some stuff that was from the book and translated to the film that we never got to see. But there's some other really cool things in here too. There's half of the Rambo origin story, which I can't remember the year now. But wait, hold on a second. On the cover it says Stallone's name is on the cover. It says First Blood by Michael Colesville, William Zach Hine, and Sylvester Stallone.
And we're looking at a script here of sorts.
Yeah. Yeah. This was on the propgallery.com. Coralco, S.A. Coralco Service, Inc., 8810 Melrose Avenue, Suite 201, Los Angeles, California, 90-something-69. Telephone.
I don't know. Don't get about the telephone. I don't know about giving that out. Someone should have put a classified marker on that.
Okay, sorry about that.
Are you good?
Sorry.
No, but it says screenplay, character number 1, revised. Is that what it is? That abbreviation?
Yeah, Coralco 1 revised 10/17/81, so October 17th, 1981. And I guess put into circulation December 2006. So they were sitting on this for a long time before it went to auction, I'm guessing. Or if it's not an auction, if it's just from the actual prop. There's a signature on the top. I can't read out whose signature that is, though. Yeah, okay.
I can't make it out either.
So let me try to go back. It says, do we have there at the top?
Yeah,
I don't know what that means. It's like scribbled in all over the pages. This is part of the Rambo origin story that Stallone was working on. It says still shots over credit. Some of these photographs, it doesn't go into the full thing. It only goes halfway through. But some of these show up in Rambo 5.
Yeah, because
so it says. Oh, sorry.
I know it says and like again, folks, we're looking at these pages because it says it's basically like shots. It says still shot, still shot, still shot, and there's like little information underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So this is pretty neat to look at.
Oh yeah.
What were you saying? Go ahead.
I remember when I saw it the first time in the Giler Stallone script, it had the full montage. And when I read that, my heart just sank. Because I was like, oh my god. And I asked Ted Kotcheff about this, and he said that they did not get to film it. But it always lingered on my mind because I was always like, did Sly use pictures of himself growing up for this? Did they have any of this going on? And then when they were working on Rambo 5, putting that together, I saw photographs from that. There's like a little shrine in some of the sets and stuff, and I was like, wow, like he actually went back and got some of this. So it's very, very, very interesting. So I guess it starts off at the, I guess, page 1. So it's fade in, still shot over credits, and an old cracked photograph of young John Rambo holding up a small fish. He is just caught. He is 8 years old. So this is what would have led into the movie. Still shot of a 12-year-old John Rambo proudly riding a horse. You know what? It kind of reminds me of Lock Up. That intro to Lock Up.
Yeah.
All right. Still shot of a teenage John Rambo at a junior high school dance. Still shot of John Rambo high school sophomore yearbook. Still shot of John Rambo and a team picture of the high school track team. Still shot of John Rambo winning the shot put event. Still shot of John Rambo winning the broad jump. Still shot of Rambo lifted onto the shoulders of fellow football teammates after winning a game. Still shot of Rambo at the final high school prom. He and his date stand beneath a banner that reads Prom King and Queen 1967. It goes into more stuff later on, but it kind of makes you wonder too at the same time. First Blood is set in 1975. So, 68, 9, 70, so 1, 2.
So Rambo would have been what, let's just say he's 18, what? So, but what is Rambo's birth date? Do you know? I mean, is that out there?
They talk about it in Rambo 2, and now I'm drawing a blank. Murdoch says it, right?
Well, it says right here at the bottom, Prom King and Queen 1967. So if he's in high school at this point, his birthday has got to be around birth date, maybe 49, 48, 49.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah. Your school system is different than our school system, though. Because you have middle school and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that. We have like what do you call that? Elementary school and high school, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like you go up to grade 6, you do kindergarten, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you go to high school and you do 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Usually people will graduate when they're about 18 or 18, 19, so...
Yeah.
And it seems like from the description of this page right here, it just seems like... Because if we're looking at the original idea, or like maybe the film almost started off with the montage of his early years.
Yeah. It actually goes beyond this. It goes into... let me check my phone really quick if I have it on here.
Are you good?
It goes beyond that. It goes, damn, please be on here.
I just remember now because in Rambo 5 you saw like little pictures of a young Rambo, so... I didn't know First Blood took place in 75.
Yeah, 75. I don't think I have it on here. Hold on. I'll know in a second.
Oh, damn.
No. It's not on here. Son of a gun. But it extends out into like Rambo being at the internment camp, and he's like behind. I don't know if internment's the right word. He's behind the bamboo bars, looking out, and he's all like long beard, and it's like what his life became. You know, so much promise, and the deliverance was forgotten. You know, shout out to Wallace Lee too, whose artwork for his new book dropped this week for the last Rambo prequel book. That looks pretty intense, but yeah, it delivers Rambo to this state where like he had so much promise. And I know I've heard Slad talk about this recently because he was thinking once again about redoing the Rambo mythos. I know with Rambo 5 he changed the years, and I was very like, why would he do that? But I guess he was doing that just because he didn't think that the younger generation of today would be able to follow it correctly. I don't know. That's the only thing I can come up with. Yeah, so this actually expands out, and I don't know. I like it. I really do like it, and I don't know. I find myself asking this question a lot lately. Like Stallone with his later years now, the autumn, I would say, the autumn of his years, maybe never count out the underdog, but it would be cool to see Stallone go back and add all this footage to everything.
Yeah.
You know, like I was talking to someone from Over the Top today who was taken out of the movie, and she had a really great scene in the movie, and it's like we're getting on that. Like it would be so cool to see Sly go back and maybe get the rights for some of these films and open that vault and like really give you his versions of the films that he wanted to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's page one. That's page one. Page two.
Page 2.
And
it
do you have 29 at the top?
Let's see. The next page, it starts off with First Blood at the top. 49. Where it says
49?
Forest, Night.
Hold on, let me find it.
It's like the fourth one you sent. It says Forest, Night at the top.
Okay. Do you want me to go back through the?
Oh wait, okay, I see how. Okay, I see how it is. It's out of proportion a little bit, but it's all right. All right, 29 at the top. Okay, I got it.
All right.
All right, so we're on the right page.
So it says continued 29, page 8. Elaine picks up a bottle of cologne to pack away. Teasel, outraged. Everything was for you. I even left the force in Chicago for you. Elaine, you didn't leave anything for me. They didn't like you, so you dragged me to this hick town where you can pretend you're a real cop. You can pretend to be the big man without me. 3 years of being ignored are enough. There's nothing for me to do here. So, this is pretty cool because this is Teasel's wife and him talking. She was totally erased from the movie. So this is like, in the book, this is a very big driving factor. And here you can kind of see like, okay, Teasel was at the chosen where they had, where they tried everything and they had to, pretty much commit suicide, and he lived by chance. He lived by chance, and it was a big thing. It comes into play later on in the book where Troutman's talking about the comparisons between Teasel and Rambo and why Teasel's going to lose this fight. So this is very interesting here because
I have a question. Is that why there's like a big what do you call it?
line through it.
Line. There's a big line through the script, and it says delete. Is that
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
that this was intended for the movie? That there was a subplot with Teasel's wife.
Yeah, it's weird because like when you get to Rambo 4, there's so many like omit sections and everything's written in red and it's crossed out. Rocky, no, sorry, Creed 2 is like that too.
Interesting.
But yeah, very interesting. But it's like you get this thing from her where she's like they say in True Lies, she's a flesh and blood woman, and you're not there. You know, he's got to move to this town for a promotion, and he's got to be tangled up in work. And we all know when men get tangled up in work, the women feel what do you call that? Underappreciated.
Yeah.
So, and she's calling him out here, you know, like you're nothing. So to him, maybe in a way, this is his chance of proving that he's something. To grab this Congressional Medal of Honor kid who is only second or first, his Medal of Valor is second to Rambo's medal.
He's gonna pin it to his liver.
Yeah. I did this with you. Yeah, rest in peace, Brian Dennehy. Oh my god. I don't know if I told that story last time about Brian Dennehy. What Ted Kotcheff had to say about Brian Dennehy, but like, wow, that was amazing. So that makes a lot of sense here. So Teasel says, "You're not going to embarrass me in front of these people." Elaine says, "These people, why do you always care what these people think?" Which is very true. At the end of the day, it should be about family. It shouldn't be about work.
Is that why, like, maybe you have a feeling, and I haven't read the book, but, like, Teasel's uptight?
Yeah, exactly why. Because he's got all these things in his personal life going against him, and, you know, this Rambo thing is like a way of freeing him from that. Bringing him back to being what he thought he was. So he says here, Teasel says, "What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say to them?" Elaine closes the suitcase and grabs her coat. Teasel continuing, "What the hell do I say?" And Elaine says, "Say the truth." And Teasel says, "What?" And Elaine says, "We never liked each other." So Teasel's expression falls into a portrait of despair. Anger giving way to self-pity, he turns and exits. And it goes into shot 30, which says a small bridge day as Rambo walks on along the bridge toward the town, the shock and the memories building behind his eyes. Mm-hmm. And on the side it says what? I want to say it's Johnny, but it's not Johnny. It's like,
I don't know what that says. It's kind of, it's in cursive.
It's like Jevning, like Will Jevning, the Sasquatch hunter.
But
very cool. Very cool scene. With very little, they give you very lot.
Yeah, you learn about, you know, Teasel's wife. It would have been interesting to see, like, again, that probably would have, you could have gotten more from Teasel, like maybe a subplot there.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if they ever casted her.
Who would have played her at this time?
I don't know.
Maybe, oh god, what's her name? She was in Misery. She was in Outland. Frances.
I still gotta see Outland. I still gotta see, like the science person in Outland. I still gotta see that movie though. But I've seen clips from it. The female, the one that Sean Connery has a little tangle with there.
Frances something.
Frances McDormand. McDormand.
Frances Sternhagen.
Sternhagen.
Maybe her. Maybe you could have her, but I don't know. Just throwing out a name.
I could see it like a Susan Sarandon in here.
That'd be interesting. Susan
But she
Sarandon.
would be too young at that time, right? This is 1970. It was 81. No, 81. Maybe she could have done it.
That would have been cool.
Sorry, my wife is distracting me with her dancing. She's dancing with it. You can see her.
I didn't see her.
All right. What is this, page 3?
Let me see here.
This is First Blood Revision, October 14th, 81.
Yep.
Page 17. All right, so this is continued. Nothing from Rambo. A heat, then Galt. Who cares, Mitch? Come on, Galt. We should report this to Teasel. God, look at that. Galt to Mitch. You stay there. Turns to Rambo. I owe him. Galt wields his
Truncheon?
truncheon. What is that stick
Must be a billy club.
that comes out they beat people with
Yeah.
into Rambo's exposed kidney, and he drops from agony. Mitch, damn, Galt. Galt, you didn't see anything. Now the man said to clean him up, and then crossed out says EFX, heat and water.
So was the water hot?
Oh, hope not. They use a fire hose, right? So
Yeah.
I guess it's cold. But maybe they had another kind of thing that they were going to do. Interior cell block 40, shot 43, Rambo. High-powered fire hoses. Spray is plastering Rambo against the cell wall. The hose is held by Preston. Yeah, Preston. How did he go? I think he got his arm broken or his leg broken or his...
Yes.
No, was he the guy who got like his nose broken?
I think that was.
All right. So it goes on to Mitch and Galt standing by, watching. Mitch does not like the painful treatment being dished out to Rambo and turns away and lights a cigarette. Galt, don't forget to get him behind the ears. What happens... This is sideways, sorry. What happens to Ward and Crawford?
A Balford?
Balford, sorry.
It's
Balford.
a little writing right there on the script. It says what happened to Ward and Balford. I don't know
Which
what
is
that
weird
means.
because it's kind of like in a way that this movie painted David Caruso as the underdog forever to come. Like whenever you see David Caruso in a movie, you kind of get a little bit of this
Yeah.
weird thing. And he's kind of the guy that says, he's kind of the guy that even though everybody has their status and everything, he's the guy that nobody likes, nobody listens to, but knows better than everybody else.
He knows better. He's going to be, detective later on CSI Miami. He's like, I don't want to be a dirty cop. Well,
he gets his arm broken and replaced. Poor kid. I remember seeing this for the first time and being like, man, I feel bad for that guy. But yeah, David Caruso, very underestimated actor in my opinion. All right, scene 45, interior shot 45, interior processing room, Preston. Rummaging through a file drawer, removing a shaving mug, brush, and straight-edged razor. Shingleton is there gathering up fingerprint samples, dog tags, etc. Shingleton. Will wants his ID on the teletype. More. So that's pretty cool because that gives you a little bit of things to come. It gives you that they're going to go shave Rambo. Before you see, originally you see Preston walking out where... Actually, it wasn't even Preston got his nose broken. It was the other guy with the mustache. But you see Preston coming out.
Yeah.
In the movie, you see him coming out with the thing, and they're like, don't worry, shave him dry.
And leading up to the breakout.
Yeah, and you also get this thing here that Shingleton says that Will wants his ID on the teletype, and you only see that later on during the chase. All right.
Let's see, next page.
Try to get through here. Next one is 30, continued, 108.
Let's see, which one?
It says 108, continued. At the top of the page, it says 30.
Okay, I got you. And there's not, because we don't have the whole thing here, folks. We just kind of like, it's like excerpts from the script.
Yeah, it's like 8 random pages. And like Jack actually sent us notes on this later on, and he said that this was amazing because, theoretically, we never got to see this in other copies of the script. We never got to see this in the scripts that were released, or the film that was released, or the novelization. The novelization was maybe 4. They only started going into that paradoxical Rambo from author David Morrell in Rambo 2. So this was 10 years after what was written.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so it says, 108 continued, and is inching slowly downward when first rapping sounds of the helicopter are heard. He looks around frantically. No sights of the chopper yet, just the sounds, which place it somewhere in the vicinity. What's cool about that is that David Morrell, in the First Blood reissue that came out a couple of years ago, talks about, well, he includes the first chapter, which no one's seen before, which was completely different than novel. Like Rambo shows up, and kind of around the scene, Rambo shows up, and he's a greaser, kind of like Rocky or Lords of Flatbush. When you see him, he's got leather jacket on, and the white fleece of his leather jacket is all soaked in blood. And the last words on that page are, some of it was his own, and some of it was, and then you never get to find out. But, yeah, okay, 109 helicopter hovers above the forest edge near the pass, air to air. Non-109, so 110 helicopters POV posse. Filtering into the pass, Teasel is signaling it back toward the promontory.
And that's what...
Yeah.
What's that? I'm trying to... Promontory.
I have no idea what's that. I've never seen that word before.
Point of high land that's just cut... Okay, there's a point of high land that juts out onto a large body of water. A headland. That's what it is.
All right, sweet. So cliff-faced Rambo descends, pushing inches at a time, fingers bloody, sweat running into his eyes. The drone, the helicopter, is gathering volume now, and he looks frantically about, trying to spot it. It suddenly appears above him with a defeating clatter. Pilot to actor, helicopter pilot, and Galt. Sunglasses only partly disguise the swollen side of Galt's face. Galt looks away, and the pilot reacts to something he's seen over his outside shoulder. He wraps Galt's arm and points toward it. Pilot. On the cliff. You know what's cool here, too, is Galt makes it this far. In the book, he doesn't. He's the first one Rambo kills. And they corner Rambo.
Yeah.
And they do unspeakable things to him in the book. They tell him, okay, take off before the shower, they're take off your clothes. Okay, bend over, spread your cheeks. We're gonna examine your insides. They really fucking treat him bad. They really push him to the point where, and I remember reading that passage for the first time where Rambo gets his hand on the razor while they're trying to shave him, and he cuts Galt across the stomach, and Galt is just standing there trying to keep in his intestines. They're like bicycle inner tubes coming up, popping out of his body.
The fuck?
Yeah, it's this real, and there's some pretty cool scenes in there. They try to shave him the first time, they only get part of his beard off. They're like, why you got that beard? Ramble's like, oh, I got a rash and I can't shave, And then when they're like, oh, you think that's funny? Wait until we bring in front of the judge. And when he goes in front of the judge is like, isn't it kind of warm to have that beard out here? And Ramble's like, I have a beard, I have a rash and I can't shave it. It's like he throws the joke on him twice. It's pretty funny. Yeah. Okay, so the pilot's like on the cliff, and helicopter's POV Rambo's hanging on the cliff face, looking back at the helicopter, and Galt shot 114, and Galt tears off his glasses and drags out the high-powered HK-91 scoped rifle from behind the seat. So the pilot's like, what are you doing? And Galt's like, just bring it around.
Interesting.
Yeah, continued. Now we're going to get to that Forest Night.
All right, Forest Night.
All right, so First Blood revision, October 14th, 81, page 49, 188, Forest Night. Shingleton is hearing moans in three directions. He turns one way, then another, heads towards Balfour. Omitted. So there was a whole shot omitted here. I wonder what was omitted. I should kind of like compare it with the other script and see if there's any kind of correlation between that. But it says Forrest Teasel Knight. He follows Balfour's wailing and sees him 20 yards ahead. Teasel, Shingleton, I found him. Shingleton over here. So Forrest Knight, Shingleton is running towards Teasel's voice. He runs past a wide tree. A makeshift garret is suddenly around his neck. How does he end up upside down is the question here. I guess because Rambo's gonna like squeeze the garret around his neck and fucking pull him up.
Yeah.
And garret is something that's not used a lot in Stallone movies, but in Cobra, they talked about a sequel to Cobra. And there's a scene in the sequel to Cobra where Stallone, it's kind of weird because the original way through, Stallone was riding in a cop car. He had a cop car. And it just so happens that his car gets wrecked in Cobra. And these were things that they were going to say for Cobra 2. So it makes sense that he would be riding in this cop car. And he gets out with he's talking to Gonzalez and Monty. And there's like this New World Order guy. And he's fucking blowing away people in a movie theater. And he's just fucking shooting people. He walks to the front of the screen, turns around, and starts blowing people away. Seats are flying up in the air. People are like getting blasted. Teens are getting blasted apart.
Damn.
And yeah, Cobra starts doing this Rambo suit up scene outside of the movie theater, and he grabs a garret and he like tests the garret and he puts it in his pocket. So it's kind of like like when you see those people strangle people with
like a Goodfellas
piano wire. Yeah, piano wire in the movies. You ever see it like in James Bond?
Yeah, Goodfellas. Every Martin Scorsese movie, probably.
Yeah, that guy. The fish?
Yeah.
How do you fuck know about the fish? That guy?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. It's cool because you never hear about that ever. Like maybe a couple times here in Rambo 2 and Cobra. Anyway, so and he is yanked backwards. So Forrest Knight Teasel is lowering the agonized Balfour to the ground. His moaning, plus that of Mitch, Ward, Orville, and Balfour is pushing him mind to the break. Pushing his mind to the breaking point. He hears the strangling cries of Shingleton. Teasel, Shingleton, where are you?
Shingleton.
I love it. I love it. I love it when they're all screaming for him and they're like, "Well,
yeah,
well." I love that. So Teasel moves away from the moaning Balfour. Teasel instinctively, wrong button again. Instinctively makes a move to go out to him. Is driven back to cover by more lightning. Teasel's POV, so we're seeing through Teasel's eyes. Fast pan, so he's looking across the forest. Rocks and trees, no life, no movement. The sky goes dark again. The thunder spends itself, only to the sound of the rain. That's pretty intense. Like, imagine being out there in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
How dark it is. Like, you know, being out there, you live down in North Carolina, right? Like, when I was down there to go see my sister, like, there was no light anywhere at night. You go outside in the back and smoke a cigarette, and it's like completely dark.
That's how it is around here.
Yeah. So you can just imagine being out there, like, where there's no light, where there's absolutely, like, no street lights or nothing in the middle of nowhere. And it's just a lightning lighting up. That must be pretty scary.
And see the last page here. This is page 80, or yeah.
Yeah, shot 269. Continued. So Seo's voice. You're already in position. It's your cleanup. And there's a giant scratch through this one. It says, during the above, camera has full hack.
Pullback?
To reveal Teasel.
You say pullback?
Sorry?
Is it pullback or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Pullback to reveal Teasel, Kern, and Lester, the National Guard's office, radio operator, and a couple of state troopers all inside the tent listening. So I guess this is when they're trying to put the beat on Rambo, when he's in the cave. It says, what they are hearing is crosstalk between Lieutenant Morgan and this is later on. This is when they got him pinned in the mine. Lieutenant Morgan and his commanding officer at the NG bivouac headquarters, standing outside the tent, but within earshot is Troutman. Lieutenant Clint Morgan, Patrick Stack, right here. You know him in the movie.
Oh yeah, Lieutenant Clinton Morgan. The Weekend Warriors.
Yeah, my guess is it's too good. 2 days' work. Gio's voice. We'll have supplies up to you within an hour or so. Anything more from your end. Chief Teasel. Delete omission again. Teasel shakes his head and exits. Radio operator. Nothing from here, sir. Gio's voice. I guess that's it then. Radio operator. Roger, sir. We're out. He cuts off the transmitter. A moment of silence as the, what is that word?
Finality
Finality of the situation shakes in. Then Kern moves. My wife is dancing over there and she's like highly distracting me right now.
I can't see anything.
Kern moves over to Teasel, gives him a gentle pat on the shoulder. Teasel storms out of the tent. Okay, I gotta ask myself here. This is like a Pat Stack scene that's never got seen before. I wonder if Pat Stack knew about this scene.
I don't know. Have you ever asked him?
I never asked him about this, but you know what? I'm going to ask him about it now. I'm going to call him. I'm calling him tonight. I'm going to ask him about this. All right, interior mine date, shot 270. Rambo lowers himself gingerly on another run of the ladder. It bends. So I guess this is like when he's trying to climb out.
Yeah.
But holds. He steps on another rung and it splits. He breaks through 3 more before he stops. The sound of him fall thunders through the chamber and startles him. This is kind of weird too, because he said that when they filmed that they told him not to use his feet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they told him to climb out just with his hands. They said it would look better, but it's absolutely ridiculous, because why would you not use your feet to steady yourself?
Yeah, was it? How was he able to get out of the mine, you know?
Yeah, I guess it's another delayed scene. So touching the bottom, he hits the bottom. He moves several paces and into a wider fissure. He spies a rusty pick leaning against the wall. Continued.
So that was And so it seems that the ladder broke or something. The ladder gave
Yeah, yeah, it looks like that.
in this script here
Hmm.
that his first attempt of climbing out of the mine, he failed.
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess now talking about get some final thoughts on what we discussed,
Hmm.
and I'll let you. And I'll sort of bounce off you, but if you want to, if you can go first if you like, and I'll.
I just it's really cool that we got to see the Rambo origin and a little bit from Teasel and the bounce back between everybody in there. Um, that Patrick Stack scene though, that's pretty cool. I'm really curious to see if Pat knew about that scene. So I'm gonna contact him and ask him if he knew about that element of the script, and maybe with some luck, maybe we can get some feedback from him.
That'd be interesting. I mean, it's definitely interesting to look back at like certain scenes that didn't make the film, and like that one page where it has like a montage of different shots of his like high school years, and
Mm-hmm,
then
mm-hmm.
you got background with Teasel's wife that we never saw, that we only see in script form, or stuff that we can that's out there,
Yeah,
and going back to the script history and discussing that, and through what all the way back to what 1972,
mm-hmm.
all the way to the film when the film came out, and the different versions that led up to the final product, and Al Pacino at one point being talked about,
Yeah,
but not just him. What
yeah,
Dustin Hoffman?
yeah. It's fascinating. It's fascinating just to be able to take your mind and put it in that position of, okay, how would have this looked or how would have that looked? Um, very, very, very cool. Very, very, very cool. Of course, it leaves me with more questions, but I guess it should, right? That's the wonderment of that movie is so vast, and I think that um, they did great by putting out the movie they did, and all those deleted scenes that they threw into the TV cut and the DVDs and everything. Um, which is another person I'm looking for is Susie Pay. She was also in Big Trouble in Little China, so I'm looking for her right now. She's the one who had that love scene with Rambo that they took out.
Oh, which one?
Um, I don't know if you've seen that clip. It was like Rambo POV, and he walks into a Vietnamese bar, presumably the same bar that got blown up when the Shoeshine Kid. But he walks in and he meets up with his girlfriend over there, which I like that. But at the same time, after the novelization for Rambo 2, I'm kind of like, oh, Rambo cheated on his girlfriend.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. It makes me
But
want to pick up the novelization for the first movie so I can just sort of catch up, because it's like you said in the beginning. It's like you're really deep into like peeling back those layers of this onion that is the Rambo universe, whatever you want to call it.
yeah, it's so sporadic. It goes everywhere. Like I know when I started doing this, I already had the things that I had known when I started doing this, but the deeper I got into it, it was just crazier and crazier because it just went in this direction that was so like, here I am saying, okay, maybe I'll do 12 episodes and a couple of these things, and the more I found, I just couldn't stop because there's just so much through not only this movie but all the movies. Um, I guess it's kind of like that with whatever he does, right? He does like he's got like five versions of every minimum five versions of every movie. Like just this one was 26. That's insane. Plus the book, plus the test pages, plus
So we've scratched the surface, really.
yeah. And I just want to thank Jack Craven again too because he's really helped to lay a lot of the mysteries to bed, and completely changed my life. Like, completely gave me that yearning to do like another 10 years of this. Really, it got me going. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you. You've literally picked the splinters out of my brain, because there's so many questions I had before you came along, and once we got to talk to you and know you and have this amazing relationship, it's just like, wow, like there's so many things that were answered. And not just this movie, I'm talking a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating. I can't wait to delve into further Jack's notes with you, and bring to the people. Like, I don't want to sound gospel, but the good word.
Yeah, the good word.
It's like, seriously, like, it's one thing for us to tell you this right now, with you guys not seeing the notes, but I'm telling you, if you guys actually saw the notes, wow, it's enough to make your brain explode after reading 5 of them, and we got literally hundreds of them.
Yeah, and a big thanks to Jack once again, because, and it's like you said, it's more than, yeah, I mean, First Blood, there's a lot there, and there's more out there with other stuff and films that, a lot of people don't really talk about. And he mentioned that too in the beginning, how a lot of people don't talk about this stuff, which makes it's interesting to look back at what never made the screen, what was unproduced, what was left on the shelf from this, stuff we never saw in First Blood, to whether it be Stallone films that never made, or Van Damme films that never made, or Arnold films that never made. And so big thanks to Jack for all this.
Yeah, definitely. It's weird, because it's like, we read stuff, and as we read stuff,
it's never ending. It's the never ending story.
Yeah, exactly. We get all these producers and directors and actors and things you would never think would be related to these things, and they're there. And it makes you wonder, like, man, if I worked in Hollywood, would you know those things? Like,
I don't know.
There's so many paradoxes.
And
many.
Just an example. I mean, we haven't even touched, because there's a lot of information on. We're not gonna go into it here, but at some point I know we will do Arnold's I Am Legend. There's a lot of information on that, and just the whole breakdown of the script and the synopsis. Some point we'll do that.
A lot of great Arnold movies in there too. Commando 2.
Sergeant Rock.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to give too much out, but in the future it's coming.
I asked Jack what he had to think about Last Action Hero, because the Last Action Hero script that's out there now, everyone can read it on the internet. Really different than the movie. I did the intro to it on alternate cinematic universe, and it was wow. Like, when you think of where that movie came from and where that movie went to.
Yeah.
It sucks that we never got a sequel to that movie, because you could literally do anything you want with that movie, and it's like, how come they didn't see that? And I don't want to believe in this thing that, Jurassic Park flooded out what could have been for Last Action Hero. No, Last Action Hero still stands up today, and it could have been. They could have went so many different. If I ever get to meet Arnold, I'm gonna ask him. I should contact Harley from Epic Mealtime. He's from here. He used to be a teacher here, and I should ask him if he talked to Arnold about that, because, man, there's so many things they could do with that franchise. Imagine if they had the rights, whatever company. I don't like. Who was that with? That was with what? Brockheimer? Was it Brockheimer? No,
I think.
I'm trying to remember what studio it was with. Warner
Universal?
Brothers or. Oh. But imagine having all the ties to Warner Brothers figures, and then doing a Last Action Hero sequel where you can bring anybody in. Say if you had like Riggs and Murtaugh, bring them in, bring in Cobra, bring in, sky's the limit. They tease it in the first movie, like with the Freddy Krueger stuff, but just imagine what they could do with that today. They wouldn't even have to make a remake. They could just do a sequel. Have Arnold back.
Yeah.
That'd be
I'll be
insane.
down for it. They should have made sequels, but that's a discussion we can do someday. But I guess it's my overall thoughts, and once again, thank you, Jack, and we'll definitely do more of this. We got more diving to do.
Yeah, Jack, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I guess you made him know that this is not even 0% of what we have.
Yeah, we just touched on maybe 0.001%. I know Jack's going to fill in some more information there, so feel free to chime in on a lot of this, Jack, because there's some parts like we went over backtrack on some stuff, some information here, but Jack, he likes to fill in more information there, so but it was fun.
Yeah, and I know just from our personal experience that Jack has amazing things to say about Rambo 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we should, I don't know, maybe we should do another one. Maybe down the line after we start getting into stuff, we should maybe do some other Rambo movies. Because if you thought this was crazy, imagine the other ones. Because I'm telling you, this is nothing compared to this is nothing. When you start getting into those sequels, your head's gonna spin because there are so many deleted scenes. You cannot believe how many deleted scenes. You can't believe how much they never thought to use. We get to see these movies are 90 minutes on the screen, but usually there's a lot more pages. Usually it's supposed to be a minute per page.
Yeah.
And usually the outlook on it is 30 or 40 pages afterwards. So, yeah, I can, just from experience, I can tell you that the sequels too are very crazy and there's multiple versions of the sequels too, which is even more impressive. But Jack, I cannot thank Jack enough. Jack has literally changed my life.
He drew first blood.
Yeah. Yeah. He literally refueled a lot of what enthusiasm I had, because now I want to ask more questions. Now it's weird because there's so many Rambo fans out there. There's so many fans of all these different types of movies. So it's gonna be great because we can touch with the hearts of those people.
Exactly.
So, Jack, really, really thank you. I could never thank you enough. I could sit here all day and say thank you, but literally, you've changed my life, which is pretty. I never thought that was ever going to happen. I always thought I would, take my questions to the grave. But
no, you're good. But Jack will definitely feed us more, I'm sure, information after this goes up.
Oh, definitely.
You know what?
We should get on Rambo too.
But I hope for folks out there you enjoyed this and this very in-depth discussion, a scratching of the surface, a peeling back of this classic that is First Blood.
Yeah, and thank you all for putting up with my reading. I've been having a lot of trouble with my reading lately. My site's not as, I'll say that my site is not as good as it used to be, which I guess is a project of growing older. So I struggle a bit, but yeah, thank you. It's I find, John, your audience is amazing. A a lot of the guys who chime in and hang out with us, and it's just really, it's really, really great to see that enthusiasm out there. So, thank you to everybody for that.
And we'll do this again. And thank you guys for listening.